So what happens when you let a renowned late 60s, hot rodder get his hands on an engine from arguably one of the most dominant airplanes of World War II? Well, you end up with an 1100 horsepower monster that is basically an engine on wheels with a body attached. First things first, we need to talk about this thing, and that is the P-38 Lightning. It is one of the most overpowered fighter planes of the Second World War. And when I say overpowered, that isn't hyperbole. This thing was one of the most dangerous things with wings since, the Cretaceous period. It had 4 50 caliber machine guns in the nose. It had another 20 millimeter machine cannon. It had points on the wing for rockets and bombs, and it was faster than pretty much anything else out there. With a cruising speed of 275 miles an hour, however, it had a top speed of over 400 miles per hour. In the right hands, this thing was absolutely devastating. Case in point, you have America's ace of aces, Dick Bong, who used the P-38 to rack up 40 confirmed kills during the Second World War. Now at this point, I know what you're thinking. That's awesome. It's an incredible plane. Yay, America. But what in the world does it have to do with cars? Which brings me to Ed Wood. He was a renowned hot rodder during the 60s. He was known for doing crazy engine swaps, and arguably his craziest creation ever was powered by one of those Allison V12s that usually called a P-38 home. Now from the outside, it looks like a slightly weird 1964 Chevy Chevelle. Underneath, however, it was a completely different story. Now you understand why I think it was an engine with some wheels bolted to it. Given the absolute girth of this engine, the normal chassis, it was never gonna do. Even if it could fit the engine, it would never be able to handle the engine's weight and all the power it produced. So Ed turned to a custom really strengthened ladder frame chassis that was lengthened by over 13 inches. The same lengthening treatment went to a Malibu Sport body. Power went through a 2-speed GM Hydromatic transmission. It had a Pontiac rear end and 12-inch slicks because duh. And to make this whole monster easier to work on, he gave it the funny car treatment and had the entire body lift off so you could work on pretty much any part of the car at any given moment. Sadly, either none were saved or none were recorded, but we don't have any 1/8 mile, quarter mile, any of that sort of stuff times saved for this vehicle. However, it had over 1100 horsepower. Yes, the engine itself was more than half a ton, but it was a relatively lightweight chassis when you consider all the power it was chucking out, so you know this thing was going to be insanely fast. About the only accounts we could find of this car running, or at least going down the drag strip, was that this thing was great at leaving long black marks for hundreds of yards.